Welcome to Talking Kenobi, a limited podcast. It is June 14th, 2022, and let's get started. Gloriously vicious.
Good God.
Welcome to the show. Hello there, and welcome to Extra Star Wars Podcast. We're covering the Disney Plus limited series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's much anticipated hype for the show, bringing back a PT crowd favorite, but has it lived up to the hype? We have Spoken Crew rebrands into Talking Kenobi, a limited podcast to come together to give you our best and worst takes of every episode. Sit back, listen, or watch our banter as we give you all the insights into the galaxy that takes us far, far away. Make sure you follow Extra Star Wars on YouTube and Spotify. And don't forget to check out the Casa at Case De Dupree over on YouTube. This is where the fun begins. As you can tell, Damien not with us tonight. He is on an impromptu family trip down into the beach areas of Scarif. So he won't be joining us tonight, but we do have notes from him, and we will get there. So, as always, Extra Star Wars is brought to you by the Red 5 Network, and we've got a lot of promos to go for right now. Dork Wars, Dork Wars just in the past couple days interviewed one of the lead editors of Wikipedia. And that was a pretty awesome interview because we got to see, I got a little insight into the behind the scenes of running a gigantic network of information and how they go about making sure it's accurate, canon versus legends and legends versus canon. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Follow that up with Scarif's live show. I think that was happening last Sunday. They went over an entire part 4 of Kenobi, as most people do. We are usually coming on the back end of most shows. Just want to shout out one person that I've been razzing up a little bit in chats just because they are a highly opinionated, aggressive chatter and person, and that's Joker Voice. And they actually have a pretty good YouTube channel. He's out of Las Vegas, and listen, he's got an opinion, and you're gonna hear it. And he does really great impersonations, and he's not a fan of the Kenobi show at all. So, as always, with the Red 5 Network, we get to hear all the opinions from left, right, up, down, diagonal, and we don't have to be happy with all opinions, and we don't have to be happy with all shows. So if you want a little bit of a different angle on the Disney era Star Wars, go check out Joker Voice. Subscribe to the channel. Right before this show, Rogue One Radio was live. They're probably still live right now, talking all things Kenobi and other things pop culture. DJ, Steve, and Nicole do a good job there. I've got to shout out, of course, the Red 5 Network Gaming. And of course, we'll be live tomorrow on the Red 5 network, gaming network of Twitch, Red 5, and playing little games, Jackbox, and all that good stuff. Big shout out, of course, to the Casa. And make sure you subscribe to him. I think he recently passed 600 subscribers on YouTube. So he's
big time in us. He's not.
He's actually in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, he's at a premiere or something.
He works out so much, he is signing up for Adam Sandler's sequel to Hustle called Muscle. Thank you. And then finally, after our show, if you head on over to the Used and Abused YouTube channel, confirm that YouTube channel, they are also following up with Kenobi, a little bit of a late night flavor coming soon to the Red 5 network. General Kenobi herself is opening up Scarif After Dark, a little bit of a darker twist on nerdy culture. So go on Twitter and search out Scarif After Dark for all your sultry needs. Okay. Welcome on into the chat, Used and Abused. We're live on Twitch now, which means that it could be a gaming community coming on in. We've got several people on the Twitch chat right now. We got Mars, Lekla34, and of course, Dave. Dave. He's back, but he's doing the best he can. Yes, we have YouTube, and we're talking about the Twister movie. What a great movie. What a classic movie and a classic ride at Universal. Well, it's not really a ride. It's more of an experience turned into a ride. Universal Studios. I don't know if they still have that.
Yes, it's such a great, terrible movie.
It really is. It really is. Oh my gosh. What did they call it? Wendy? What was it? What was the machine called? They had a code name. I think it was like the Wizard. It was a Wizard of Oz reference or something like that. Wizard of the Tornado. It doesn't matter. You can check out all that information, and there's facts at Used and Abused Pod, where they talking the Twister movie. So that's good, and not the game, but the movie. Kenobi Part 4 debuted last Wednesday. I put a poll up on Twitter, and it's usually a pretty good indication of people's opinions. So what we have going on in this poll, and the reason why I ran this poll is because I was perusing Facebook on my personal account, and I saw that somebody posted Leia Riva scene, and someone was like, whoa, big time spoilers there. And it was like 5 days later, like after debut. And it got me thinking, what is people's perception of spoiler windows? Right? We're still in the spoiler window. So my personal opinion on it is stay off socials. Right? Social media is exactly what it sounds like. Social media. I'm going to go onto the socials and I'm going to express my thoughts and opinions. I won't be a D about it, right? And like post out pictures of like screen capping. I know people do that, and that's not good, but like you can't stop me from doing it. Don't tell me not to do it, because now I'm just going to do it more if you tell me not to. So, Mike, I'm going to give you 4 options here, bud. All right. Here are the options. So the spoiler window for weekly streaming shows. Now, I said this, weekly streaming shows. I'm not talking about Stranger Things, which drops a full binge out, right? That's a different animal. I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about the spoiler window for weekly streaming shows ends. Option A, anytime after they debut. B, 24 hours after debut. C, 1 week after debut. Or D, never spoil on socials.
I'm going to go option E, where that is 3.5 days.
3.5 days. I had a lot. Actually, that's funny you say that, because I had a lot of people write in. Not a lot too. I had 2 people plus you.
I had so many people write in.
So many people. I had two people write in, like, if I'm choosing a week, but I really mean 3 days. Here are the results.
Yeah, I tend to stay off social media for anything, and I blame myself whenever something just accidentally pops up. If I really want to check social media for something news, not
sure.
All I use Twitter for is news. But every now and then, when you go to trending, it's something that
Yep.
happens to be
Gotta
spoiled.
be careful.
Yeah,
Gotta be careful out there.
but like you said, don't be a D.
Yeah.
Like when my brother-in-law and my grade partner, who's a huge Star Wars fan,
Mhm.
I always say, "Did you watch?" before I say anything.
Right.
And that's always the way to go. I would never say anything on social media.
Right.
I feel that's why I stay off social media. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
for
want to
sure.
be like, I don't voice my opinions because, one, nobody listens to me. Two,
I listen.
you listen. You don't hear me though.
No, I don't hear you at all. And that's my philosophy is if you don't want to be disappointed with details, stay off socials. That's the safest way.
Yeah.
That's the safest way, right? It's self-control. It's not now, of course, if your job relays heavily on social media presence and that's your job, I totally understand. It's totally fine. I know people try to like hide things within things, and that's no fun. But the results of this is very interesting. We've got coming in at 8.5% anytime after debut. I actually don't agree with the anytime after debut spoilers. Like I think there should be a buffer time.
Agreed.
1 week after debut seems to be the heaviest one. I should have put a 3-day limit on it, and I probably
3 to 5 day.
That would have probably been the winner. But what the glaring one is the never spoil on socials. Out of 59 votes, nearly 14% of those votes said never spoil on socials. So that's all the Karens and the Stevens voted for that. What are you doing? What do you mean never spoil on socials? It's ridiculous. Like, come on now. And I will like people listen, this is just my cynical self. If you complain about people spoiling stuff, I'm going to respond with stay off socials. Hashtag stay off socials. And then I usually get flack like, well, it's not fair because people have jobs and kids. Guess what? I have kids too. I get up at 4:30 in the morning to watch a show. No excuses. Sorry. This is not going to happen. But anyways,
I do think that when the episode airs has a lot to do with it though. Like Kenobi airing on a Wednesday, I think
that's tough.
You should there's a longer wait period of when you could spoil it. So that's why Kenobi, I would say that like 3 to 5 day.
Yeah.
But was it Mando Mando was Wednesdays too, wasn't it? There was something on Fridays, I believe.
I think original Mando was Friday. Mando, and then they moved it to Wednesdays because Wednesday probably was a death day for them, and they were like, "Oh, we can fix this."
Yeah. So anything that plays over the weekend, you have until Monday.
And I agree with even on Wednesday. I agree to Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. When it comes to like movies in the theaters, not streaming consecutively, that's 2 weeks for me. Don't talk to me about it for 2 weeks. I have surprisingly stayed way clear with 8 days to go of Multiverse of Madness. I know nothing. I've read nothing.
Well, let me tell you something.
I avoid it all. I know. And that's one of those things where even like my students, they would say like, "Hey, did you see Doctor Strange?" And I'm like, "I didn't, and I know we're past the window, but I do control your grades. Choose wisely. Choose wisely today. Don't choose violence. Violence will come back." No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I just wanted to have that little spoiler talk, because I'm big on the stay off socials. That's one of the reasons why I put out my reaction videos same day, right? Big title, spoilers, buffer, spoilers, like the video, come back and watch it after you're done. Everybody does it at their own pace. It's just going to be one of those things. But anywho's, before we get started, let's just shout out some new people in the chat. We got Dragon Buddy in on the hail. Nicole, Rogue One Radio is now over. They are now over here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the follow over on Extra Techie. Thank you so much on the stream elements. Yes, we're streaming to 4 different platforms tonight. We're streaming to the 3 Extra Star Wars, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and 1 Extra Techie to Twitch just because I pay for the service, and why the hell not? As you can tell, if you're late to the show, we don't have Damien with us because he is in Hollywood trying out for wrestling.
That's where they try out for wrestling.
They try out for wrestling underneath the Hollywood sign. Then they remove the Holly.
And it's all wood.
It's all wood from there. That's what I'm talking about. Anywho's. All right. A lot of discourse about episode 4, so let's get right into it with our overall impressions.
Overall impressions.
I hope that came through a little bit better without cutting off. I recut some of that stuff. Okay. Me and Mike were talking about this a little earlier. And Mike, why don't you lead us off with just a simple overall impression of Kenobi, please?
This episode left me with a meh feeling.
Okay.
Obviously, filler episode. It's strange. This episode's an enigma because somehow a lot happened in this episode, but nothing happened in this episode.
I know what you mean by that.
It was I wrote down all my notes and I'm like, I have as many notes for this episode as I do for episode 3, where it was incredible. Yeah. But it was just because this episode was all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So mine, my overall impressions, lots of cheese present. But after careful thought, and that means many watchings and listening to the different shows on the Red 5 network, hearing different opinions, both good and bad, I really enjoyed it. That's it. I enjoyed it. You know, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that it's an appropriate filler episode.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad episode. Yeah. But what I like, on the grand scheme of things, after the first 3 episodes that we got, it's bad in comparison to those 3.
Indeed. Yes, agreed, for sure. It is the worst of the 4.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I don't think anything can really save it. There's a little too much, and we'll probably get into it, inconsistencies and logic and story. Of course, it's science fiction. We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But I do want, I will lift this episode up a little bit later. Talking about something that I caught on the internet perusing. I posted about it on the Extra Star Wars Instagram. It might still be up on the story, but we're going to talk about it toward the end after Mike's OnlyFans session. So, okay.
I'm not giving out free sessions. I'm just giving you my name.
It's a discount. It's a discount. It's a discount. 9:54 p.m. Oh, we got to wait 6 minutes until it goes dark. Let's get into our episode recap.
Episode recap.
Episode recap.
I will never not dance to that thing.
It's a great tune, and I don't remember where I got the tune, but I appreciate it. All right, so obviously what I can say is that it's consistently started with a recap and no cold open, which is pretty cool. I'm almost anticipating a cold open in the finale. Like, that would be really nice, but we'll see what happens. Kenobi is on the ship in pain with Tala captaining. There's blurry images of a camp. Back to Tech experience healed more than just his physical wounds. The duality of Vader in the tank, suffering. Both are suffering in some way. Where's Leia? That's the first thing he says, which I thought was cool. Fortress Inquisitorius, which apparently is a little different in design on Jedi Fallen Order, and people took umbrage with that. I don't know if you caught that, but it is a different design in the game. Leia firing off all the credentials like a basic white girl. Reva chats with her, lies to her about Obi-Wan, which is a great tactic. That's kind of her thing, right? She's very manipulative. They get back, or we're going back to Jabim. We have a new character called Roken. He calls Kenobi General. Ooh, mysterious. Tala warns of Reva. I think the worst line of the show was, "You don't know what the Empire is capable of." Ben, of course they do. They're in the what are you talking about? Anyway, Roken had a wife who was force sensitive. Cool. We go to Nur, a water moon in the system of Mustafar. Intel shows, and this is an important part, and this is, again, another people took umbrage with, where did Vader come from? Intel shows Vader is on his ship. Not exactly landed, but on his ship. Command center chat with the little holo projectors. Tala volunteers. We could see it from a mile away. Cover may still be intact on ship. Kenobi moves object, but he labors. The past is a hard thing to forget because some things can't be forgotten. Then we go to Leia, Reva, interrogation, playing head games. Leia's resolve is strong. It's consistent with her character. Ship approaches the fortress. Tala has a challenging time entering. She did not have real ID in place. Eventually she gets to a computer. Kenobi swims, so he's got a rebreather. That's fun. Takes out Trooper, is immediately dry. Is this a staring contest line with Leia? Love it. Lola goes full send, foreshadowing to Tomb. What are they keeping down there? Tala challenge number 2 seemingly beats up another officer. No one hears it. The stormtroopers. This place gives me the creeps, he says in the captions. Obi-Wan causes distraction. That's where I went. This is cheesy. I don't like it. Back to Reva. Lots of backstory on her. Reva's frustration with Leia is like the same frustration I get when I'm trying to give my kids a bath and they just won't get in the bath. I just need you to listen to me now. And like Reva's done with her, and I don't have a torture chamber, but Reva does. Stormtrooper putting Leia in shackles. Ben finds the tomb room. Force users frozen in time. Do we see Roken's wife? We see some Clone Wars peoples, some Clone Wars aliens. There's a youngling. Reva stops because Tala interrupts. Ben in the dark. A cool scene. Definitely a cool scene. We're going to have to explore it. Bang, glancing blows of the lightsaber. Reva does not trust Tala. Tala leaning on spy cover. Ben and Leia running. Seeker droid alerts. Alarms. Tala takes out troopers. Kenobi blocks bolts. He spins the saber, a la Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars. Ben defends. Window cracks. Kenobi holds it back, floods the hallway, makes it out. Disguise is in place. It's not the disguise that I was looking for, but it's there. Lots of movement. Reva catches them. There are, I don't know the official term. Are they snow speeders? Is there a specific type of speeder? I'll need someone in the chat to help me out with that. Tala and Kenobi shoot their way out. Poor mouse droid. Poor little guy gets shot up. Not fun. Reva destroys Wade by throwing the explosive. Fifth brother is so mad. Vader is more mad. Float choke scene. Reva explains there's a tracker. Reva feeding into Vader's desires. Where he goes, it will follow. Cool docking of a ship. Very somber. Getting onto ship. But Tala saucing them up. Guess you're soldiers now after all. Leia holds Obi-Wan's hand, and it's the most precious moment ever in America. Unbelievable.
In history.
In the galactic history of the archives. Unbelievable. So as you said, lots of things happened.
You forgot one thing.
What'd I forget?
Red light Lola at the end there.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I did. Yes, red light Lola at the Nola. Oh, Nola. Yeah, red light Lola. For sure. Let's see, Nicole Techie, we're on the same wavelength. It's bad, as in we only get 6 episodes and this was 37 minutes of filler. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna make a point. Another set of kid-sized shackles. Guys, I think the Empire are the bad guys.
I don't know. Lot of good people on both sides.
Yeah, a lot of good people on both sides for sure. All right, so that's our episode recap. Thank you, Mike, for filling in that gap. And before we get down and deep into a hole of judgment, we do have some top moments.
Do we?
I do. Do you? If you have top moments of this episode and you're chatting it up, go ahead and type into the chat. Obviously, this is a spoiler cast. If you're watching this and you haven't seen the show, well, keep watching, but don't listen.
It's our top threes.
What's beautiful about the little video montage is I can take a sip of a drink. You'll never see it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's called TV magic.
I'm just here. Look at me drink, everybody.
Exactly. All right, top 3 for me. And I think we have a top 3 from Damien. Let me take a look. We do. All right. So I think obviously he's not here, so he goes last for sure. Easy. So I'll go, then you go, and then I'll read Damien's.
Do I go or do you go? Who goes first?
Who goes first? I go first. You go first. I'll go first. I can't understand you with the apparatus. I really did love that. Man, The Force Awakens is such a good movie, and they botched it. I can't believe it. Anyway.
It started off on such a good note, and then it just ruined.
They were like, we're going to turn this Star Wars franchise up to 11. And then here's a piano instrumental. Okay. And then it was just a cacophony. It was like a electric piano demo where you can also play at the same time. And that's Rise of Skywalker. Everybody gets to play to their own beat, but there is just something else going on in the background. Anyway, just made an analogy with music in the sequel trilogy. I hope you were here for that. All right, so my number 1, absolutely, because I immediately filled up with tears, was Leia holding Ben's hand.
Oh, that was so good.
Finally trusting him hit me hard in the heart, because there is nothing, you don't know if you're not a parent, there is nothing more heartwarming than the feeling of your kid trusting you, especially after they've been through some stuff. And this is one of those things where I will that moment alone for me fills that gap, even though this is an episode filler. This is a character development episode for Leia and Ben's relationship, which will later blossom into Ben Kenobi, like on A New Hope. Like, she was like, what? He's here? This is crazy. So I'm thinking they're making that connection. I know other people on the Red 5 Network made that connection. I know people are like, they're breaking canon because it's ridiculous. There's no way she knew Kenobi in A New Hope. Well, we don't know that, of course, because they make stuff up all the time, right? We didn't even know there were pod racers until episode 1, right? That was made up. They made it up. It's like, so did you have that? Leia holding the hand? You had to have, right?
I didn't have it, but it has now become one of my 3.
We've now added it to
because I only had 2.
Okay, all right.
So, and I get it, like the whole parent thing. After your child has been through some shit,
yeah,
and they just either hold your hand or just like nuzzle up against you, and it's like their thank you without saying thank you.
Yeah,
and it's awesome. And Leia definitely knew Obi-Wan, and they like literally, you're my only hope. Like, right. Obviously they had a history.
Yes, exactly.
Kylo's name was Ben for Correct. Ben Kenobi.
Correct.
Come on.
Anyways, no, it's good. And again, it's one of those it's character. Like, did we need the hand holding? No. Did we need the Padme references? No. Does it work 100% with me? Yes. It's awesome. Are you kidding? It makes me weep in a good way. In a good way.
And I will say that now that I've just thought that, like, the episode itself, tons of random stuff going on for that moment of, wow, this is how strong their relationship is and becomes in the future.
I thought you were dead, and you saved me in a
multiple times. And
you keep coming back, but she sauced him up in episode 2, part 2, like a lot. You keep lying to me, part 3. You keep lying to me. And he's like, I'm here for you, girl. Like, this is what we're doing. I'm coming. She's 10 years old. She's 10 years old. But anyways, absolutely spooning it into my mouth, DB, for sure. The entire series. Criticisms aside.
Yeah, give me it. Give me all of it.
Give me all of it. All right. Next thing I had was, I know the timing of this is poorly executed, but you're all complaining about, not you, but I'm just saying you in general. You're all complaining that how can we have a 6-episode series, right? And waste all this time. Then you complain about how fast Kenobi gets his force powers back. Well, you can't have it both ways. We can't both have it speedy and slow at the same time. So I am good with the trope of a back the tank. I am good with it. The timing of it kind of is like they were probably like, he probably needs a little bit more time, but we don't have it. So we're just going to pop him in for a little dunk tank session, and then we're going to flip him out. And here's why I think it works, and it really comes down to whether or not you understand the back to tank. In all of the movies, how many times is a back to tank present?
The movies once
with Luke, right?
Yeah, that's all. That's the only
Maybe
thing I
with
can think
Vader,
of.
you can count it, right? With Vader. Now, if Vader gets to stay alive despite having 4 limbs lost and living on machinery, I would say the back to tank is a rather powerful medicinal tool. Then, if you read the High Republic, Bacta doesn't exist 200 years prior, and they're harvesting it. It's very important. It's like as important as oil. They're trying to harvest it because they know that it's very powerful, and then eventually Bacta becomes a thing.
Medical marijuana.
Exactly. Boba Fett, back to tank. Cobb Vanth, back to tank. The only difference with that show is he was getting a good 8. A night, a good 8 hours. So that's the only thing that's weird.
And he still moved like he was in quicksand.
So he was stiff. I think we're. Well, I'm going to say I'm speaking for myself. The slowness of the back to tank in Book of Boba Fett is a complete opposite to the back to tank here, right? Which is a sped up version of that. So they're conflicting in my brain, going, well, that's not how you portrayed it in book. And now you're portraying it faster. So for me, just like with Book of Boba Fett and the advertisement and marketing scheme, it doesn't make sense. But it's science fiction. So I'm going to accept it because then we got amazing, I'm not going to say full capacity, 81% capacity Kenobi. So
are you positing that the back to tank can regenerate his force powers?
Yes. I'm thinking that's why I said in my recap, I think it healed more than external wounds. I think also survival instinct and adrenaline kicks in and natural instincts kick in, despite him on his way to the Castle Inquisitories not being able to move like a little object, which they could have just left that out. Like he could have been just meditating and Tyler would have been like, listen, you have to let it go.
So if that is the case, is the back to tank then making Vader's powers stronger, which is why he's so much more powerful than Obi-Wan right now?
Well, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities. I forget the line. I was almost there.
You were there. I know.
I forget. Someone finish it for me in chat. Someone finish me off in chat. Thanks. And so dark side powers for sure. I'm doing it. But anyways, that's my argument for Kenobi getting his force powers, his so-called force powers back. It wasn't perfect. It was still a little bit slop. It wasn't great. The holding back metric tons of water, like Joker voice said in his Kenobi 4 summary. I agree with him 100%. I don't know if he's not moving a little object and then now holding back lots of stuff and then forcing water down the chamber. I don't know if he's ready for that.
Hey, mothers can lift cars off of children with a lot of adrenaline.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's my number 2.
So I respect your opinion.
Appreciate you.
But I do disagree. I disagree with the back to tank being able to make his force powers stronger.
Right. Fair. That's fair. I'm with you. And then my last one was just like any of the. I really didn't like. I did like the Reva Leia scenes because I did like their chemistry a lot. I liked her sass. I liked her using a little girl's lie, like, I'll just have to talk to her. I have to call my dad first. And Reva's like, you some bitch, you got me. No, you can't. But what's interesting, and then the negative of it is the only kind of scene that is weird is when she's attempting the mind probe and Leia is clearly resisting. Doesn't she notice that she's force sensitive?
Agreed.
What's going on there? Like, what are we forgetting? Like, they just talked about how they hunt children, and they just showed us a whole tomb of Force sensitive people, but yet the little girl is hiding her powers, or maybe Reva is just so focused on something else that she's not seeing it. I mean, blinded by the dark side is not totally out of the question, but it didn't make sense for me. But okay.
Well, Reva says you're strong. So obviously she knows she's Force sensitive.
Yeah.
So maybe she's still just like, I need Kenobi.
Kenobi is all that matters.
She knows that Kenobi's going to come for Leia, so
yeah, this is the way.
She's not even going to, and she's going to
put
her in the tomb anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about that. That's a great justification for it. Wonderful. Yeah, okay. So my 3, Ben hand holding, trusting in the Force. Maybe the healing of the back to tank, as Dragon Buddy says, with a little bit of a depressive state, lightens his mood and allows him to allow that light in. Because it is a trusting way. You got to trust it both ways. Let go, as they would say. And then the Reva Leia scenes kind of all up and down with that. Mike, go ahead.
We kind of had two similar ones.
Okay.
Well, now actually we may have had all 3 in different ways, because I added the hand holding.
Yeah.
So I never go in order, but I did have the Reva Leia dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at this as in a different way, though, that had nothing to do with the plot of Obi-Wan.
Okay.
So I don't know if Deborah Chow or whoever, the editor, whoever cut it together, like essentially knew that there would be a lot of pushback on Leia, on the actresses that play Leia and Reva.
Okay.
And
just kept writing them in scenes.
The fact that, let me give you some numbers and go back to it.
Okay.
So runtime from when the Obi-Wan sand goes to the first credit is 30 minutes and 34 seconds of the episode. Okay.
Wow.
Time of Reva Leia time, 5 minutes and 29 seconds.
Okay.
They got 17.9% of the episode.
Yeah, they did. Lots of scenes for sure. 17% of an episode is the cold open to Stranger Things every episode.
Exactly. So I circling back, I don't know if Chow or whoever edits this or puts it together in the long run could have seen the pushback that Moses, Ingram, and I forget Vivian something.
Yeah.
That they were going to get for playing their characters, and this is just a big middle finger to everyone. Just like, you know what? You don't like these characters? Here's 18% of an episode of just these 2 characters that you hate, and they're just going to kill it.
And some points to add on to that is that is definitely something like the Fandom Menace would clutch onto and say this is a KK, Kathleen Kennedy sort of agenda item. There's also something to be said that this show did go through rewrites, and again, I give Joker Voice a lot of credit. I sass him up a lot in the chat just because I have to, and I can't hold back. And it's like biting nails. I can't. It's just a habit. But he makes mention in his video of Kenobi Part 4 that the first 3 episodes were written by a different writer, and the last 3 by a different writer. So. Or at least kind of like a Solo-esque where it was started by someone and finished by another.
Gotcha.
Like Colin Trevorrow and Rise of Skywalker sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that they probably kept some elements to it, and now I'm feeling like this. You would agree this episode sort of abandoned what was happening in the first 3. A little bit of a different feeling, right? Although we would say that the first 3 episodes were better than this episode. So was the writing change worth it? Probably with the final 2. I don't know. That's down to predictions, of course. But there's something to be said about a writing change. There's something to be said about keeping it consistent. I'm still on the positive. I'd say it's not certified fresh for me, but it's close. It's close for me.
Well, where you're inside, review bombing the
I
episodes?
was. I actually set up, because I've rebranded so many times, I have 49 accounts, and I go onto Rotten Tomatoes individually review bomb Obi-Wan. Okay. Can I go into Damien's, or do you have any more?
Oh, I have more, but I have more about the Reva and Leia. Stop trying to cut me off and stifle my creativity.
Please. Oh, I forgot. You do numbers. That's right. All right. So 17% of the episode was Leia Reva.
I love is this a staring contest line.
Hilarious.
I still don't get the hate for her. She's playing Leia perfectly, in my opinion.
Chicken or the egg? Which came first, the Poe Dameron line or little Leia line?
Yeah.
What's nice is that it works both ways.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And then at the end, when she says she needs to tell her dad, and Reva's just like, time to make those tears real.
Bang.
I was like, oh, shit.
Bang. Yes, I love it.
I enjoyed the Obi-Wan knocking off the rust, I called it.
Don't sound so sad about it.
No, well, you were like... I don't know why I said it in that tone.
Yeah, no, I like knocking off the rust is a good way of putting it, because it definitely it was like when you get into a game again and you're like, all right, we're gonna do this, and then you die for the first 10 times and you're like, all right, now we're gonna do this, and you make it through, but it wasn't great.
In my opinion, it was a training montage without a training montage.
I can dig that. With no
it went music. From like, I'm trying to push and pull the little thing to, I'm going to cause a distraction over here to get the stormtroopers to look a certain direction, to I'm going to cut the lights, sneak up behind stormtrooper, knock this one off. What happened? Sneak up behind the other one, knock this one off. Hitting Oppo tacos with the blasters into the little control panel.
Oppo tacos. I love that. Yeah, no, you know what? You are absolutely right. When you think of it that way, every little piece of it progressed and got a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And they snuck it in without it being... Imagine all of that happening back to back to back to back. We'd be like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Bull. But it was... Time has passed. It might not be the time that's appropriate for you, but time has passed, and slowly but surely, it was. What did cars use? Rusties.
Yes.
Shining them up. Ka-chow.
And like I said, like you had mentioned the holding back gallons and gallons of water. An entire ocean was a little far fetched, and I agree, but I also think of it as the mother lifting a car to get their child out from underneath. Like the adrenaline kicks in, and it's gonna take over.
I agree with that for sure.
That's all I got.
Perfect segue to Damien. So his number one was Kenobi escape scene, holding back an entire ocean. Basically, I'm reading it word for word. Signs that he is growing stronger and growing his connection with the Force. Slicing and dicing stormtroopers in the dark. Slicing and dicing is a little bit of a stretch, because I think that's what people wanted. They wanted like limbs and they wanted carnage. But I don't know if you notice about the Jedi, they don't like cut limbs off because they feel like it. They disable and disarm in the most efficient way possible.
I would say he sliced, but he didn't dice.
There was no dicing at all. He kind of like banged into them, made sure they were down, and just kept on going. Number two, something that wasn't in our top two, so I will save it for last. His third was Leia was terrific. Don't understand the hate or criticism. She is in this massive world as a young actress and doing so great. We full send that. Number two, we did not mention the tomb of captured Jedi was so creepy. I need more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
And what are they in? Are they in like an ember? Like, is this?
I did see a
Jurassic
meme.
Park.
Did you see the meme of what's his name with the white hair? The original guy, Hammond.
Yes, John Hammond.
Hammond is looking into his amber cane, and the next picture is the youngling. I love the internet, and that's why you stay on socials after a certain period of time. So that's incredible. Use and abuse. Let's see what you got to say for that. Leia, Reva and Leia in this episode reminded me of a few conversations I had with my daughter when she was between 5 and 10 years old. See, parents, we get it. We get it for sure. For sure. Yeah, I don't really have any more tops. I don't think you have any more tops. Damien's is not here, so he gets no opinion. So that means that we are ready to move on to our bottoms.
Next up, our list of grievances.
General Kenobi.
Love Grievous.
General Kenobi, and I've got the cough. All right. One thing, these are going to be really petty. One thing that really stuck out to me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Leia looking at the leak. And that's also alliteration.
It is alliteration.
She looked.
I love alliteration.
It's so dumb. She looks at the leak, looks back, and immediately looks at the leak again. Like it was, if I had to say anything, it's a little on par with Cyborg Spin for me, where we didn't really need it. Like she should have been like, looked at the leak and then just looked back at him and like, did a sign of like, what are we going to do about this? Like, this is a thing, instead of looking back at it. For me, that didn't really hit at all. And again, the list of grievances is just one of those things where I pick on. It's a picky thing, but that is one of the things that I picked up on. Mike?
My biggest grievous is this episode treated us like we're idiots.
Do expand.
There are 4 things I will expand on.
Oh God. Do you have a presentation?
In this essay, I will. So
Is this in the APA format?
No, MLA.
Fair.
So number 1, Obi-Wan completely dry after swimming into Fortress Inquisitorius.
I have an answer to this.
Was it the Back to the Future dry stuff? Like
No.
Clothing dry.
No, it's a homage. This whole episode is homage to episode 4. Most of it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill once on set of A New Hope, after the trash compactor scene, they go from trash compactor, which is dirty and wet, next scene, completely dry. Mm-hmm. And Mark Hamill complained about it as a continuity error, and Harrison Ford looked at him and said, "It's not that kind of movie, kid." So I think this was their way of, again, back to my cheese overall, one of those cheesy, unnecessary Easter egg references that's cool, but didn't need it. Mm-hmm. But completely dry. Agree. Next.
Tala and Obi-Wan talking in full volume on the comlink, trying to sneak around this fortress. She is in that control room speaking in full volume to someone who doesn't belong there, and leaves it there a la New Hope.
Lovely.
3PO.
Also, they did not notice on the Death Star.
Correct.
Where can he be?
Like they are talking full volume, and he's like tiptoeing around.
It is full volume, yet when she takes out the officer, it's silenced, muffled as muffled could get, as they would say.
So this is a noticement / treating us like we're idiots. Number 3, I think it was when the 2 stormtroopers were taking Tala or like asking Tala who she was. Yeah. And she just like taps the stormtrooper on the helmet and it just goes flying.
Oh, wait a second. I've got an answer to this.
She judo chops him like she's Austin Powers.
I don't mind the helmet slap, because I've gotten hit in the helmet playing hockey.
Oh, I've done it in football
and baseball, right? And if you're not ready, That's a little jarring.
But did you see the force of that slap? It's not going to. That slap is not going to jar you.
Come on. No,
I don't know if they got a little lazy with like retakes or like we're running out of time and there's too many rewrites. Screw it. Print it.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you. I'm just saying that I don't want to get hit in the head without a helmet and getting hit in the head and whatever. Bucket heads.
My fourth one is the Leia Obi-Wan Muppet Man.
Am I a man?
Because if you've seen the Jason Segel version of the Muppets, you know that Muppet Man never works. And she's literally peeking through the jacket.
It was by far the most egregious part of the episode.
Yes. It may have been worse than the Leia chase scenes.
It 100% is worse than the chase scenes. I agree with you completely. It is hilarious, mind you, that no one notices. There's so much cross movement. What's going on?
So much.
What is happening? It is the Philly special in the Imperial Inquisitorius. The guard simply didn't notice. Neither did I. I mean, seriously, how often do you really look at a man's shoes? DB says. But here, put this on.
Somehow they find a trench coat made for someone that's 9'3".
Made for Chewbacca. Now, here's my only weird counter argument, and it goes along with the idea that the Death Star tractor beamed a ship that is clearly on the hot list, and they couldn't find anyone on the ship, right? They are just so programmed to go to their path and to do their job that probably no one actually noticed something out of the ordinary. The only one who had a clue...
They're just walk back and forth.
They're just crisscrossing applesauce and making no sense. And the only one who really had a clue was the TSA agent. And he had actually a point in stopping them because you're not in this sector. This is weird. Now, we have 97 Bravo, who is in the military, took lots of umbrage with the Imperial security protocols and the term of classified. Now, for me, I don't notice any of that stuff because I'm not, into that era, or that, the military protocols and stuff. But I get it. It's not good. And the fact that no one noticed a Muppet Man is worse than Flea trying to capture a little girl in the woods. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Bottom. Oh, I put disguise is terrible. That's what I put. Terrible. There's nothing worse. Terrible. One thing that I will point out that it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It's not great. But the CGI on the snow speeders was weird.
Yeah.
Scale wise, sometimes.
Are they T-47?
I guess.
Hot stuff. Yeah. I need some hot stuff, baby.
Because Lego came out with what I will dub a snow speeder model, but it was a sand speeder.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be the whatever model. He said, you've got T-471s in the hangar. We're not soldiers, Tala. After a certain death, guess you're soldiers now, losers. Just Wade. Oh my god.
Wade got too greedy.
One thing I did like about the speeders though is the landing of the speeder and the skidding.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. Because we always see them swoop down and it's all nice and smooth, and this one was awesomely irrational and dangerous, and I liked it. Liked it just because they came in, bang, it's whatever, and then they boogied on out of there, which I don't know how big snow speeders are, but I remember only 2 people could fit in them, and apparently it can fit a party of 4. But because this is a clown episode, that's probably a clown car. So we'll accept it for the way it is. Anyways.
Well, I will counter that to
Oh!
we never knew how many people that the fire spray could fit until we saw it in Mando, and we were like, wow, that's got a lot of space in it.
Objection sustained. Very good. Very good. Very good. Bottoms for Damien.
I got one more,
Go ahead. Fire,
little bottom. And it's more of a noticement, Grievous. Okay. Are they just using Hayden Christensen's face in this series, or is he going to have Hayden Christensen talking time?
I feel like that's coming. I do feel like that's coming. I think if they would have leaned on it too much, it would have been like, oh, this is just Clone Wars live action. But
then another half of people will be like, oh yeah, it's Clone Wars live action.
That is true. That is true. But God, you can't satisfy anybody. I do think that we are now, okay. And here's why. Well, again, there is no such thing as original thoughts. The only original thoughts are the people who originally make them, and it's never me, because we do this on day 6, which means a lot of content is coming out since then. Fred the Jedi had a great. Remind me at predictions to talk about Fred the Jedi, and I will point to his YouTube channel and Twitter a little bit later.
Can I call him Fred Eye?
Yes, Fred Eye Mercury. Damien's bottoms. Reva's beats. Some of her lines are delivered so odd.
I love Reva's character, but I will say, like, her aggression at some of the lines is a little too much.
Yeah. Like, we get it, you're tough. We get it. But I guess what I will say is it's all been consistent.
Yeah. Since
part 1. So I'll give it to her. Like, it's very consistent character. It's not going back and forth.
She's always at an 11.
Yes. Leia getting manhandled by stormtroopers. This is Damien, number 2. Picking her up and tossing her around was uneasy. We know she's going to make it out alive, but it still made me want to take a gaffy stick to those stormtroopers. Damien taking umbrage with how they handled little Leia. Levitating little Leia.
I mean, they're bad people.
Yeah, I thought it was I didn't notice it because it's like
the chat said it. I forget who said it in the chat, but like I'm starting to think these are the bad guys.
I think that was DB. Let's see. Grievous number 1 from Luna. Grievous number 1. Above and beyond, the Grand Inquisitor is still dead. No mention. No mention. Actually, you know what's funny? It's not funny. But
I have a noticement coming up about that.
One thing that I picked up on, going back and recording my top 3 moments of part 3, available now on YouTube, approaching 100 views. Thank you very much. One thing that I noticed upon capturing some of the screen recorded stuff that I use for the videos, and it's very brief and you got to be ready for it. But when Vader is in the castle at Mustafar and Reva is on his little hollow projector Roku, she says something to the effect of the Grand Inquisitor's death and then was cut off. I don't think anybody knows she offed him, and I think she's pushing it off as Kenobi offed the Grand Inquisitor. And if that's true, that way of thinking, Reva is more conniving than we first think of. Now, we know she's more conniving at the end of this episode because of the whole tracker and Lola and things of that nature, and she's thinking long game chess. But pushing off the Grand Inquisitor's death, that Kenobi did it, not only does a couple things. Vader showing up at the end, ready to battle, thinking that Kenobi took down the Inquisitor, makes that scene a little heavier now because he was ready. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, I'm beating the hell out of this guy. I'm beating the piss out of him. Watch what I can do, guy. And then, the years have made you weak. After he noticed it. Anyway, so I saw that and wanted to take a look at that. Where is the Grand Inquisitor? Where is the Grand Inquisitor? Anywho's. Okay. That's the bottoms. Any final bottoms? Let me look into the chat. And again, Luniger, and only 2 episodes left, and still no one had a bad feeling about this. Interesting.
I still don't.
Interesting. I've got a bad feeling about this. I had a bad feeling about Book of Boba Fett almost every single time.
The Mando episodes were good.
Let's fire off. Not our best, not our worst, but things we noticed.
Time for the noticements.
I've noticed my drink is empty.
Same.
Sad times.
Not happy. It's National Bourbon Day.
Oh, happy birthday, Bourbon Day.
Yeah. I've been drinking it since I got home.
A noticement. Obviously, this has heavy influences for A New Hope. And the fact that it's part 4 and A New Hope is episode 4. And it got me thinking, are there flavors, are there layers of episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and part 1, part 2, part 3? I didn't have enough time to really look back at that. I'm wondering if that's the case, if they're going to continue this trend, if we're going to have a little Empire Strikes Back influence, we're going to have a little Return of the Jedi influence in the final 2. And this is, Return of the Jedi influence in the last episode would absolutely being, what was that?
I said Force Ghosts.
Or Reva turncoding like Vader did.
I don't see her turning at all.
Ooh, curious. Okay, that's fine. Anyways, so noticement for me, obviously, and again, this is all influences from other movies. Number 1, Kenobi is dry after the swim. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Communicators, same as C-3PO. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Kenobi distractions. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed is that in the water, there's like other buildings underneath the water. That's not exactly in Fortress Inquisitorius. So I'm wondering what's in those buildings.
It's like an iceberg. Like you don't know how wide it goes underneath the water.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the final episode of Bad Batch, of how many little areas
in the hamster tunnels.
Exactly.
The glass breaking scene reminded me of the hamster tunnels in Bad Batch.
And the glass breaking scene is very similar to Jedi Fallen Order at the end. Mm-hmm. When Vader should have died because obviously can't swim. Well, we're not confirmed on that, by the way. We don't know if he can swim.
You don't know.
Just saying.
There's some sort of flotation device in him.
Can you imagine? Wham! And it comes out of his jock strap.
Just floats up to the top with a ducky. A little ducky with a helmet on it.
Oh my god. My god. Ice Orb in the chat, yes, for sure. We were talking earlier that the fortress is designed a little differently than Jedi Fallen Order. You gotta look at the art. I think I saw a side by side. It's a little bit different, but it's close enough.
But didn't Cal get into the fortress the same exact way that Obi-Wan did?
Did he swim? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he swam with a distraction.
I remember dying 300 times in that game. I don't remember any of the story mode, and I would like to go back and play it.
I'm going to go back and play it before
for sure.
Survivor Night Jedi comes out.
We do have you definitely have to play that. We do have a little homage to episode 1 with the rebreather, right? Mm-hmm. Little Jedi rebreather for Phantom Menace. I noticed that there's lots of shaky cam scenes. Lots of shaky cam scenes, to distract you from, the action of things, just movement and stuff. There is an I know line, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was, though. Damn, I didn't write it down.
Ooh. He gets into the fortress the exact same way as Cal did, and the fish in the water in Kenobi are the same ones you can see in Fallen Order.
Confirmed. Connected universe. I think Kenobi is in the same timeline.
Thanks, Ice Orb.
Just in case. Yes, Ice Orb. That's Will. He's a good friend of the host, and the host is me.
Thanks, Will.
And then the final thing I noticed is that I think they're Purge troopers, maybe the Black Storm troopers. They're hot.
Yeah.
I like them. I like them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're real good. They're real good. And I need more of them. And I like that they weren't like a thing. They were just there, and then they're going to sell a toy for $14. Okay, Mike, your turn.
Speaking of the whole Cal Kestis, people are butthurt that he has not been introduced yet, and they're like doing all these little subtle Fallen Order things.
He's going.
He's going. He's
like Cal Kestis is going to get Kenobi back to Tatooine in the damn vertical ship. Let's go. I forget how close it is in timeline. I don't know exactly.
5 years, I think I read. Like, so 5 years before Obi-Wan went to Grand Inquisitorius, Cal did. So that is what I was reading on the interwebs.
So Cal Kestis went to Inquisitorius before Kenobi, or Kenobi went there before Cal?
Cal before Kenobi.
Interesting.
That is what I have read.
They would have beefed up their security.
Well, you know how the Empire is with like random little loopholes to get into their fortified places.
Fair. They only have 4 to 5 places. This is crazy.
4 to 5.
Okay.
4 to 5.
I hate this game. Anyway, Damien mentions all the things about the New Hope. You know, a girl, a little princess in an Imperial holding facility gets saved. And yeah. Jedi Survivor is 5 years ahead of Fallen Order and the same time frame as Kenobi. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Any more notices, Mike? Did you have? I went through all of mine. Good.
Any more? I didn't even say any.
Oh, I thought you did.
No. So when Tala first arrives, she says that she has info for the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah. Okay.
Was there a new one appointed, or does no one know that he's, quote, dead?
Good question. Did they? So the question is, have they kept the death of the Grand Inquisitor a secret from lower Imperial officers? And the only people that knows that
are the higher ups,
are the Vaders and the Sister Act. That's a good question. My guess, just like with the Emperor, is that they think the Emperor is everywhere. You know, like after the Emperor fell, there were still Imperial regimes that didn't believe that he fell, that he was quote unquote dead. But yeah, I would say not to create a panic at Fortress Chuck E. Cheese in Torius that probably no one knows, and that they're just doing, you know, daily as usual. It's like when the principal's out at a school.
Yeah.
Usually runs fine for a few days. Okay.
So what you're saying is pretty soon, somehow, he will return.
Somehow he has to return. I actually don't care if he returns. What purpose does he have other than it kills off Reva? It's not unfortunately, but I don't think that's a story arc that can actually happen if they're going to continue her storyline, or if they're going to go into season 2. Like they've they've backed themselves into a corner of continuing a story that may or may not needed a story, but you know, or he survives, and because of his failure, Vader goes, okay, we're going to send you. All they have to say, there's a rebel incursion on Lothal, and we're sending you there. And that starts the Rebels arc. And that's great. Otherwise, I don't need you anymore. You're not vital to my story in this show. You were cool for a minute, and they did the whole prosthetic and the costuming and stuff, but yeah. Good question.
Number 2. This was discovered through captions.
Ooh.
I do watch on captions. My second and like third rewatch, I watch with captions on. First time, I don't feel like reading. I want to listen.
Funny story. My daughter was watching Turning Red today, and it was just on in the background. And I finally like picked up on it. I'm like, why are you watching it in Chinese audio? And she's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, hold on one second. Let me put this back to English for you. But what's crazy is that it all sounded the same because I've watched it, a couple times now. So I know the cadences of the, but I'm like, wait a second, this is not in English. But I also understood it. I don't know if that makes sense. Go ahead. Number 3.
Number 2.
Number 5.
Number 8. So, Stormtrooper. Through the captions, I noticed one of the stormtroopers saying to another I think it was right before Obi-Wan has a little distraction for the stormtroopers. Hopefully, we won't be stationed here long. Is it a punishment for stormtroopers to be at Fortress Inquisitorius, or is it like moving up in the ladder?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's one of those things. I mean, the first stormtrooper says, this place gives me the creeps.
Yeah.
So maybe, they must move them so often that I would. Man,
they're disposable. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. I'd love to see a stormtrooper show, but how often do they get moved, and why do they get moved, and when do they get moved, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. That's an interesting noticement.
And then this is more of a silly noticement when we were talking about the walking back and forth. So the Reva Obi-Wan standoff, she is shouting at Obi-Wan, Tala, and Leia.
Yeah.
And there's just still people walking around in the background like
nothing
new, just a regular Thursday.
Vader needs his coffee.
And then I think she ignites a lightsaber, and there's just one officer just looking down, nothing. Just walking past.
Not a great look for the Empire. I found that the episode where Mando reveals his face for the first time was more secure than Fortress Inquisitorius.
Yeah,
I would say.
The siege on this kind of reminded me of that episode a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it was called The Siege, that episode.
I got nothing. Maybe.
Or that chapter.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Judges. Yeah, they accept it.
Accept it. Good stuff.
Oh, one other random little thing that I saw from the interwebs.
All right.
Was one of those Ember Force-sensitive people Mace Windu? There's been a photo going around where Obi-Wan is walking down the hall where you see a bald man who resembles Mace Windu in robes.
Interesting. I don't know. I'd have to review the tape. We'd have to go under the hood. If that's something, chat, that you noticed or can confirm, deny, display, decay, please let us know. Iceorb says, I'd be willing to bet if he doesn't show up, we're talking about Cal Kestis, if he doesn't show up in this season of Kenobi, and if this show gets a season 2, likely, he'll either show up there or they'll eventually just give him his own show. That would be wanted. Don't tease it this many times without doing something with it. Yeah. It's a home run. It's a successful game franchise. It's one of the best Star Wars games since Force Unleashed. Easy. And
so I'm sorry to interrupt this, but I found the screenshot of. Do I have sharing capabilities here?
Do you have an up arrow?
I do. It is not lit. So hold on. I think I can share.
Let's see.
All right, let's see.
Tab screen share. We've got breaking news.
Let's see. Hold on here.
Oh, hold on. I got you.
So, did we see everything? Do you see my stuffs?
I see your stuffs. It is a little blurry, but I can totally. Yeah.
This is what they're talking about. And then they do a zoomed in shot.
Interesting. Wow. How do we know that's not Ahmed Best from the Jedi Temple's Children's Show?
We don't.
Interesting. That's cool. You know what? Where's the subscribe button? Because I'm subscribing to that theory. Let's go. I'm in for that theory. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Also, are they? The other question I have about that: are they dead, or are they just like essentially like frozen in carbonite?
I feel like they're in stasis. I do feel like they're in stasis. I also feel that one thing that High Republic introduced is in High Republic they captured a very powerful Jedi, and in order to suppress his powers, they surrounded him with prisoners who were fearful and scared and anger and whatever. And obviously with the Force and light side that really relies on harmony. And if you're surrounded by death, decay, and fear, your Force powers will probably be suppressed. So if all of those people have been frozen in a stasis of fear, think of it this way. At one point before, it's not like they're happy, right? You know? Could they be dead? They have expressions on their face. You know, some of them all different expressions. Look at the youngling, different expression. Doesn't look dead to me. It also reminded me of Dexter Trophies. You know, so if like a mass murderer trophies also checks out on the Empires. I think they're the bad guys. If I had to take a guess, it seems the evidence is piling up. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Listen, Orb, I don't need your cynical nature in here. This is science fiction. We don't need nonfiction. No, I get you. They could be dead. We know what carbonite stasis looks like for sure. This is new. This is like an amber. This is something I've never seen before or read about in book. Maybe there's something to be said. Maybe this is how Palpatine returned.
Somehow.
You know? What if he was frozen in this stasis? What if he had many clones of his that were frozen in this stasis? And every once in a while, someone goes into the freezer and hits that defrost button. If Austin Powers can survive a frozen stasis, I submit that so can these people.
Absolutely.
So can these people. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, and it absolutely could be started the cloning project, which then moves on to the whole Grogu stuff, etc., etc., etc. All right. Thank you for your noticements. Thank you, chat, for your noticements and your insights and all that good stuff. But as we start to wrap up this episode after an hour and 17 minutes, we are moving on to our one-sentence summaries.
It's now time for that one-sentence summary.
Bang.
Boom.
I don't think Damien has. He did have a noticement, but it was basically my episode 4, whatever, which is fine.
There's less people, but I feel we went longer tonight.
Well, we did have a 18-minute discourse about social media.
We did.
And spoilers. So we're right at the hour mark on actual Star Wars content right now. So good stuff. Jazz will not work here because I'm not using OBS, and alerts for stream elements do not work in the Restream studio, but I love you anyway. Operation Palps. Oh my God. Operation Palps needs a brand new meat bag.
Yeah,
I think is that Rocky 8? Right? Is there something about Rocky 8 with the meat bags? Do you have a song or do you have regular?
I have regular. I have a proverb.
All right, why don't you start us off?
So we have not even talked about the path. We haven't talked about Wade, Sully, or Roken.
No, well, a little bit of Roken, but really that was just, oh my God, we really haven't. I mean, that was just recap stuff. All right, carry on.
And like two of the actors are like well-known actors. We have Ice Cube's son, Roken.
Is it really Ice Cube's son?
Yeah, O'Shea Jackson. It's Ice Cube's son.
Incredible.
And when he came on, I just pictured Ice Cube showing up in.
He's a murderer.
I was picturing him showing up in Triple X Return as Xander Cage, which is another great terrible movie. And Sully is her name's Maya Erskine, I believe her name is. She is in a very funny show called Pen 15 on Hulu.
That stands for penis.
It does.
Got it.
And it is very like early 2000s nostalgia heavy.
Okay.
So since we haven't, talked about the path, and my this episode was kind of a downer in out of the 4 episodes. What I'm going to say is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
It's a shame that you had to actually reintroduce to the audience Roken, Wade, and Sully before saying.
Yeah, because we didn't talk about them at all, and I thought we would at least talk about them a little bit.
I love that. Here we go, DB. Kenobi, it's Friday. He ain't got no job. Luna Girl and DB, we don't need to hear about your personal life in the chat. Please describe more. Anyway, my one-sentence summary is this. An appropriate filler episode gives us a new hope that this series will end like the Death Star, with a bang.
All right. I love that we all go dad joke puns.
It's got to be dad joke puns. Dad joke puns, or did it really happen?
It didn't.
Fair.
It did not happen. Fair.
If you have a one-sentence summary of this episode that you would like us to read out, go ahead and type it down in chat right now, and we'll get you on the other side as we move into, the hell is this? Predictions. I had a tough time thinking of here we go. Nicole, if it ain't broken. Oh my God. You have inspired me to require haiku for this weekend's Scarif Live.
Yes.
I predict Vader will stick his foot up someone's ass. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, if you have predictions for the show, throw them on down. For me, I remember when I watch the show, I do my reactions to the show. I try to watch it with Kate. I write down I don't even know why I write down notes. It's useless. I read nothing from the little book. And then I do my after the 3rd or 4th watch, which that is a huge deal, is the ability to rewatch these episodes and not feel like it's a chore, like it was with Baba. And that's a nice thing. That's actually a really positive thing, that it's cool to, all right, I know what's happening in this episode. Now I can look for little things, and that's cool. But I had trouble going with predictions. So what I came up with is, obviously the tracker is in place. Mm-hmm. So wherever they go, Reva will be on them. I don't think Vader will be on them. I think it's Reva now. Because Vader, that was a trusting moment. We didn't even talk about that whole scene. Vader coming in at a pissed off boss. Incredible. How did he get on the Fortress Inquisitorius? We didn't see him land. It doesn't matter. What matters is that he was there, and it was great. I wasn't expecting any Vader in this episode at all. After we just got a bunch of stuff, bang, we get Vader again. It's great. He can do nothing wrong. Did you notice the way they shot Vader? Made him look like he was 900 feet tall.
They make him look like
gigantic.
Joel Embiid.
All right, so cool thing about VR is the scale of VR. So when I played Vader Immortal, there's 3 episodes of Vader Immortal on the Oculus Rift S, and you eventually come to confront Vader, and I remember doing this. The way they scaled it, you had to look up because he's a tall mofo. He's a tall mother effer. So that's cool. Anyway, so this doesn't really make sense now because you sort of made the idea of the traveling montage scene in this episode, which makes sense. I have possible Ben training scene, but now I don't think so because we sort of got it. Possible Leia back to Alderaan? Is it too early? Are we clear? I don't know. Tala dies? Likely, I would think.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I have Reva turncoats, question mark? I literally said, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what's going... I can't predict what's going to happen in the next episode outside of the obvious of Reva's on them. Are they going back to Jabeam? That'd be a terrible idea. Are they going somewhere else? Will they be compromised? Obviously, they don't know the trackers on them, so they're probably heading back to Jabeam. I don't know. Mike, help me. You're my only hope.
I struggled with predictions this week as well. I was like, mine was Jabeam? Question mark. Like that's all that. Like some things are obvious. Like that Reva's going to bring the fire of 1,000 suns with her to go after Kenobi. Like that's essentially all I have. I don't know where they're going. I don't know what's happening.
I think we have the winner. Vader and Kenobi will be locked in a 40-minute long epic battle, only to throw their sabers aside, confess their undying love for each other, and kissing passionately on the shores of Mustafar.
That's hot.
Kenobi comes back to save... Wait a second. Kenobi comes back to save Leia as an old man smuggling a child, but in a good way. Good use of back there.
I do think there's going to be a Qui-Gon sighting soon.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. I'm just I wasn't even damn. Yeah, probably.
Like sure. Especially now that he is gaining back his power.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be able to come and get hit up old Qui-Gon and see what's going on.
I think it'll be very similar. Here, get ready, sequel trilogy haters. I think it'll be very similar to the Rey scene, where Kenobi's gonna get knocked down, and Qui-Gon's gonna reach out to him. You have to get up. You have to escape.
But it's not going to be literally every.
No, it'll be like it, but it'll just be him reaching out to him, right?
Or will it be more like Han Solo and
Benji?
Yeah.
Could be. That seems ridiculous, by the way. It makes no sense.
Because I don't think you just get a Liam voice. I think you get Liam in the flesh.
Ooh. Like no voice. We're getting actual Liam Neeson on set.
We're getting Liam on set.
Wow.
That would be a good surprise.
Tonight's episode will begin with some amazing Clone Wars flashbacks to show the camaraderie in live action. Cool.
I would love that because one of my grievances are they just going make up Christensen face.
And now I do think he had a non Darth Vader costume on for 1 second, 2 seconds.
0.3 seconds. From a distance.
I was about to sing that. Okay, yeah. All right, so I would like to add on a prediction.
Go on.
Fred the Jedi. You didn't remind me, but I remembered. 2 things. Well, 1 thing, and then after OnlyFans, I'm going to bring in the final thoughts. Fred the Jedi states, and he's very vast knowledge of lots of canon and EU stuff, that there was a Battle of Jabeam. And that there could be a potential flashback to Clone Wars at this Battle of Jabeam. I know nothing of it. But if that's a thing, then that's something we can anchor onto, and I'd be in for it. Especially if they bring back Anakin, General Skywalker, Clone Wars armor, Kenobi, classic Clone Wars armor with the short haircut. It would be, and he does this, puts that saber up and points, and goes from there. Doesn't make those noises. He makes cooler noises than I do, but
he does.
You get it. Qui-Gon cliffhanger.
Wait, remake of the amazing Sylvester movie? I'd see Qui-Gon playing in Cliffhanger.
Obi-Wan, you have to develop a certain set of skills. I think
he's going to come in. You don't remember me.
You don't
Said
remember
it last
me.
week.
We spoke on the
Force.
We spoke on the Force not so long
10 years ago. I told you I'd find you.
That's awesome. All right. Let's transition to our final 2 segments. You can tell that was the last one I made because it is very crisp.
It is very crisp. Because it's also the best ones.
It's also the best one.
So this week, you can find me on my OnlyFans, the Grand Inquisitor.
He will fill your second stomach. All right.
And your second stepsister. Oh my God. I don't even know what that is.
It's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. I soared with a realistic prediction. Here's my prediction. This entire thing is leading to a season 2. And y'all are probably not going to be satisfied with how this wraps up because of it until you realize it's setting up for season 2. That's a fair point, and that's probably what it's doing. And I think they swerved on us after initial crowd reaction and said, "Ooh, we can milk this. We can milk this." Luna and DB, that's funny because it's gross. Correct.
Gross is funny.
Gross is great. Gross is funny. All right, my final thoughts on something that's interesting. It requires math.
Oh, I love math.
Okay. I don't have my book, but
hold on. I got my pen, I got paper. I can do numbers right now.
Let's do real quick numbers. Episode part 1 was how long? Do we know, like off the top of your head? It was 59 minutes, 56 minutes? Around that time, right? 56 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
say 50 because of all the. Are we talking like runtime?
Runtime from.
I would say probably around 50 minutes.
50. All right. Episode part 2.
I'd say about 40. I think episode 2 and 3 were 40 apiece.
So we get 50 and 40. Episode part 3
was 30. I did that.
30, and then part 4 was maybe a little longer. 35.
Oh no, I said episode 2 and 3 were 40.
Okay.
And 4 was 30.
Do some math on that.
Okay. That would give us 160 minutes.
160 minutes. Okay, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was scrolling through Google News. Is it Google News? Anyway, I follow the Star Wars topic, and I'm scrolling, and it's like Cinemark, which is a non-US based movie chain theater like AMC, is planning on the final date of episode part 6 debut, is planning on a 6-episode full run through of the series plus a Q&A at their theaters. And they put, thank you, Cineplex, and they put the runtime at 5 hours and 20 minutes. So let's pretend that the Q&A is 30.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives us...
So 5 hours and 20 minutes, you say?
5 hours, 20 minutes runtime.
So if we're at 240, that gives us 230, which means each episode is 115.
Isn't that crazy? Now, again, I don't know if they're including credits. It's a little sketchy, but there's a good...
You talk, I'll do more math.
There's a good chance that we get 50 to 60-minute episodes in part 5 and part 6.
I was thinking that the episodes would be somewhere between 45 and 60. I mean, I will argue to the death that 60-minute Boba Fett one is bullshit, but I am on board with the 45 to.
You know what? Ro just he has inside information. The Q&A is 2 hours, and each episode is only 7 minutes long.
That's the math checks out.
That might be the funniest thing you've said on our show. I'm dying at that. Could you imagine? The recap is 4 minutes long. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't, again, it's hard to know what they're counting. Like, are they going to play all the credits at the end for each episode? Probably, meaning like together. So if that's the case, it's 5 times 6, 30, like 30 minutes of credits is stupid to me, but maybe they count that. I don't know. So I think 45 to 60 minutes per runtime per episode is a good one.
So the total amount of time is...
Orbi, is that confirmed, or are you just throwing it out there? 35 and 40? That's your guess?
So according to Disney Plus, the entire runtime of the series so far has been 185 minutes.
Okay.
So that is 3 hours and 5 minutes. And what'd you say? 5 hours?
520.
520. That leaves us 2 hours and 15 minutes, which puts us in the 67-minute range.
That'd be hot.
With recaps and credits taken out and possible post-credit scene, that probably leaves us
sub 55.
Runtime 60 minutes an episode.
I love it. That'd be cool. 35, 40. I'm hopeful for 60 that we get a nice long one. That'd be great. Setting us up, penultimate episode, setting us up for the series 6. I don't think we're going to get this, like Orb said, I don't think we're going to get this grand reveal. I think we're going to get, unfortunately, a cliffhanger that I think they wrote in late. As you can tell, the shift in this writing has happened now. Reva, a lot of people are pissed that Vader did not kill off Reva. I bet you he did. But they changed it. My guess, my hypothesis, is that Vader learned this tracker trick from Reva in Empire Strikes Back. Has the tracker been placed on the ship? It has, my lord.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. People don't like it, though. People want Vader to be the end-all, be-all, and he knew everything. Well, maybe.
Do they not remember that there's a person above Vader as well?
Fair. It's all very interesting. It's all very wonderful. And you know what else is wonderful? The Red 5 Network. The Red 5 Network is a wonderful collection of people who like to do things. And if you are one of those people that love to connect, you want to check out bio.link/Red5. Michael, do we have any final thoughts before we throw it to the wayside so Used and Abused Pod can get started with their show?
I have one little final thought, similar to your spoiler thought.
Okay.
Review bombing people because they're butthurt need to grow the F up. And I bring this up because I know Kenobi has been review bombed audience-wise on Rotten Tomatoes. And I read something about Miss Marvel and how review bombed Miss Marvel got on IMDb. So Miss Marvel's first episode, it is like a 6.8 rating.
Okay.
All right, which not terrible, not great.
Right.
Well, somebody did a study into how the rating got to 6.8 or whatever it is, something in the sixes. There is a huge discrepancy between the 1 votes and the 10 votes, where all of the votes are either 10 out of 10 or 1 out of 10, and there's no middle ground.
There's no mean.
There's no mean.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's like 30% of the votes were 10, 30% of the votes were 1.
Yeah.
Where I'm tired of these butthurt people that see something that doesn't look like them, and they're like, that's not how it should be, and I'm not interested in that. Right. And this isn't Marvel or this isn't Star Wars, so I'm going to give it a 1. Grow the F up. And enjoy something different for once.
One of the most interesting classes I took in college back in 1885 was world religions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a look into every single different religion there was. And listen, I grew up in a Catholic house. I knew the story. The story didn't really change. And it was nice to see the influences of a lot of different people in the world.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed, just like a Scarif and Roe, I enjoyed the attention to detail to the culture that I don't understand because I don't live that is awesome. I hope they're accurate, and I hope they're doing a justice to that culture. And I think everything about it, the Indian culture, I don't know the very specifics to it, and I apologize, but I know that
she's Pakistani.
Pakistani. Okay, my home house, my parents' house, we live next to an Indian family, and they're very I talk to them. I'm very nice to them. I don't know their culture, but we're very sort of close in terms of just being neighborly, So it's cool to see an insight from an outsider's perspective. It's cool to see the insight of like how serious the mom is about being proper. And it kind of reminded me of Turning Red, and it kind of reminded me of like any teenage girl growing up under a mother's eye has to be perfect, and all she wants to do is like comics. And it's not a far-fetched idea.
It's not.
And I love that, and just the whole design of the show, from the words and text showing up on the.
Oh, I'm getting major
it's cool.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World vibes and Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse vibes.
Yeah,
I'm loving all of it. But like I said, like people are bombing Kenobi because Reva and a little girl. Like, grow up.
Yeah, it's cool. There's lots of cool shots in it, and I watched it with daughter because I think it's demoed to a younger audience.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I can enjoy it just as much. I'm not going to read all the comics, but I think it's fine. I don't really remember what happened. I think I fell a little bit asleep because I was sleepy that day. But I'll certainly watch it again and give it another go, and I'll watch the next episode. But guess what? I'm not going to worry about spoilers. I'm not going to worry about anything like that because it's irrelevant for me.
I'm not going to go bomb Gossip Girl because I don't understand it.
You're such a mean girl.
I am such a mean girl.
Yeah, indeed. But anyways, thank you for that. Thank you for that point, and thank you for bringing it to attention. It's important to talk about it. That way people can understand.
And they could grow up.
Grow the hell up, everybody. This has been Extra Star Wars. Once again, we shout out the Red 5 Network, Dork Wars, who had Wikipedia on, Scarif, who talked about Part 4 of Kenobi, Joker Voice, who brings a different spin to the galaxy and other pop culture. If you want to see a different perspective, go check out his YouTube channel. Rogue One Radio, with their show right before us, always has independent musical interludes where they will play different musical bands, and that's cool. Don't forget about the Red 5 Gaming Night happening tomorrow over on Twitch, starting around 9:30, 9:40 p.m., going for about an hour. We're going to play marbles on Twitch. We're also going to play some Jackbox, Quiplash games, so I hope we can see you there. Case De Dupree hit 600 subscribers, so go to Case De Dupree and check out Damien's channel. He's very much into Jurassic World stuff, Dominion right now. Used and Abused is up next. Mike, it's been a pleasure as always.
Always pleasurable.
Love you, everybody. We'll see you next week.